Om Shanti, and a very good morning to all. Today we are going to read the Murli dated 13th June 1973. The title of the Murli is Spiritual Warrior, Ruhani Yodha. So in today's Murli, Baba has given qualifications of a spiritual warrior. Baba says that you should always have the awareness that you are on the battlefield. You are on the battlefield with Maya, and victory is yours. Baba has underlined these two words, the battlefield and victory. The Murli is subtle, it's very deep, as Baba further says that, you have to be completely free from all the bondages. Sampurna Swatantra. And Baba says that you ought to be connected to one Father and none other. And then towards the end, Baba has completed the Murli with the question for us to ponder upon, that am I really, truly living my Brahman life? Or am I truly playing my part, my Brahman part accurately? So the Murli has a lot of points for self-checking and analysis. Let's read the Murli together. Baba says, do you consider yourselves to be the Maharathis of the spiritual army? Who are called the Maharathis of an army? What are their qualifications? To be a Maharathi means to consider oneself to be one who is riding one's chariot. That means Rathi. That means I, the soul, I am in this body. And I am riding this. I am the Rathi and the body is the Rath, right? So Baba gives a beautiful definition of Maharathi, the one who is riding one's chariot. The main thing is, do you use your chariot whilst experiencing yourself to be the charioteer? If on a battlefield, a Maharathi comes under the influence of his chariot, then can that Maharathi be victorious? Or instead of being one who brings victory to his army, would he become an obstacle? If the Maharathi himself is, under the influence of his own chariot, then will he become victorious, or would he not become an obstacle for everyone else in the army, right? Baba says he would be instrumental in creating upheaval. So all of you warriors of the spiritual army, have you become charioteers of your chariots? The very first question that we need to reflect on today, right? Have you become charioteers of your chariot? I, the soul, am I really aware all the time that I am into this body, taking this chariot, and I am the charioteer, the Rathi in this Rath? Baba says, just as a warrior puts all people and all comforts to one side and only keeps the battle and victory in his intellect, he keeps himself engaged in fulfilling his aim. In the same way, ask yourself, do you have the aim of just these two things? Or is there also something else in your awareness? Have you become such warriors? No matter where you may be, always have the awareness that you are warriors on the battlefield. Warriors never like to rest. Warriors are never lazy or careless. They are never without their weapons. They always carry those with them. They are never afraid of anything. Warriors never keep anything except the battle in their intellects. They always have the attitude of battling and the consciousness of gaining victory. Briefly, Baba has given these 7 to 8 qualifications of being a warrior. The point, the very subtle point that we need to think here is, who am I fighting this battle with? Is it with Maya? Is it with someone else, some or the other soul? Is it with my own old sanskars, my habits? Because there's a continuous battle that Baba is reminding us about. And there has to be continuous awareness that yes, there will be obstacles, there will be attacks from anywhere and everywhere, in fact. Am I really carrying my weapons along? And one more thing, maybe we can discuss it towards the end, that what are the actual weapons of the soul? Which weapons is Baba talking about? Maybe we can discuss this towards the end. Baba says they always have the attitude of battling and the consciousness of gaining victory. So are you also victorious with one another in the same way? Do you see one another with this vision? Similarly, a spiritual warrior would always maintain this vision. We are all Mahavirs and victorious. At every second and at every step, we are on the battlefield. Now see, this Murli is, Baba is speaking in front of the Brahmins. So we need to think that amongst ourselves, with each other, when we come in contact with each other, do we have the awareness that we are all Mahavirs? Are we victorious? There's this thing na कि आपस में तो लड़ाई नहीं है. Battle, there is a battle, but then the battle is not amongst our own selves. So if there's sanskar of jealousy, if sanskar of ego, then maybe we are running this battle in the wrong place. We are fighting this battle in the wrong place. Because Baba says that amongst yourself, you always have to be Mahavirs. You have to be victorious. And Mahavir, Hanuman is called Mahavir, and what he did, he brought that Sanjeevani booty, if I'm not wrong. So even in the Brahmin clan, even while we are in this family, if we look at a soul who is maybe slightly, I'm not getting the word, but murchit, if he's not in the awareness, then our work is to provide him with that Sanjeevani booty. That is called the Mahavir, not to pull him back, but to put him on the track again. So Baba has very beautifully asked that, do you have the awareness? Do you have this vision for each one that we are all Mahavirs and victorious at every second and at every step we are on the battlefield? Do you just have the one deep concern of becoming victorious? Have you detached your intellect from all relationships and all the facilities provided by matter? Have you stepped aside from all of that? So whilst being on the battlefield, are the strings of your intellects still engaged with the relationships and facilities of matter? Do you consider yourselves to be completely free, or are you still dependent on others for some things? I guess this Murli has more of questions rather than statements. Huh? Baba says to be completely free means to take the support of your body when you wish and to go beyond the consciousness of the body when you wish, so that the body does not pull you to itself even in the slightest. So be free from the awareness of the body, that is, from attachment to the body. You should even be free from your old nature. You should not be in the bondage to even your nature. You have to be free from even your sanskars. Be free from your Lokik connections and also from the bondages of the connections of the Alokik family. Have you become free to this extent? Such souls are called completely free. Have you reached this stage, or does even a small physical sense organ tie you in its bondage? Now, this is extremely subtle because these days, Brahmins mostly, they don't, uh, maybe they do not have this consciousness of the physical, or rather the attachment with the physical body more, but we get entangled more in our old sanskars, in our old nature. So Baba says, are you even free from that? Because if Baba says that you are on the battlefield, then there will be continuous attacks. And the very first attack will be from one such sanskar or the old nature, or one such habit which we haven't still worked upon. It's like we've closed all the doors physically, maybe uh, with someone else's body, say towards your body, whatever the consciousness is that has ended, maybe the doors are closed, but the subtle, there are subtle doors, the suksham darwaze, where Baba says that those are still open, you haven't worked upon. And those are the old sanskars and the nature, which time and again pop up. And then the true battle begins there. Yesterday, also in the Sakar Murli, Baba said that Maya certainly has to come, because if Maya doesn't come, then how will you become Mahavir? Or you won't be called a Mahavir unless you fight a battle. So this is there, and this has to be there. But then, are we truly prepared or truly aware of this? Baba says, if a little insect were to cause distress to a Maharathi or a lion, then what would you call such a Maharathi or lion? Would you call it a lion? If one wasteful thought were to distress a master almighty authority, or if one very old sanskar of the 84 births causes distress to one who is a master almighty authority, a Mahavir, a destroyer of obstacles, one who is Trikaldarshi, and a spinner of the discus of self-realization, if it makes him weak in his effort, then what would you call such a master, almighty authority soul? Baba calls us Mahavir. Baba gives us so many titles that you are Master Almighty Souls, you are Swadarsham Chakradhari, you are Trikaldarshi. And imagine that even one slight waste thought causes distress, then what would you be called at that time? And this is true. Uh, this comes from a very practical experience, that if you let yourself go loose, and you allow that one single waste thought to enter your mind or the intellect, then it becomes a continuous chain. And that chain is frustrating. And that chain is absolutely annoying. And then when you try to get rid of that, maybe you get so entangled that it takes a lot of time for you to clean up the mess that you yourself you've created. Mhm. This comes from a very practical experience because this happens at times. Baba says, when you are in this stage, are you not amazed at yourself to let such words emerge that you have wasteful thoughts or that the old sanskars and nature bring you under their influence, or that you do not experience Baba's remembrance, or that you do not have any attainment from the Father, or you become afraid of even a little obstacle, or you do not have constant supersensuous joy, you do not experience happiness, then are these the words of someone who is a decoration of the Brahman clan? These are certainly not. These are certainly not. If we think that we are Maharathis, if we call ourselves Mahavirs, then these words that, you know, that there are waste thoughts, I don't experience Baba's remembrance, I get disturbed by even little obstacles, Baba says, then you need to really check on this. Baba says, what type of Brahmins would you call such Brahmins? Brahmins in name only. That is Namdhari Brahman. Sirf Naam ke liye Brahman. Baba is taking us to the deep lanes and the subtle lanes. Baba says, if you are called true Brahmins and you say these things, then what is the difference between the Brahmins of the confluence age and the Brahmins who are this in name only? Further, Baba says, at the present time, souls who are to become Brahmins should examine themselves. Have I put the first qualification of being a Brahmin into my life? What is the first qualification of being a Brahmin? To break away from everyone else and to connect yourself to the one. That is, औरों से संग तोड़, सिर्फ एक से संग जोड़ना. I remember it was in yesterday's Sakar Murli. I guess it was in the Murli that Baba says that you have to break away from everyone else. ना आपको बाकी सारे संग तोड़ने हैं और एक बाप से जोड़ने हैं. And while I was just reading that Murli, reflecting on it, I was actually analyzing the self. I was actually wondering that, am I still attached to some people, to some souls, uh, physically, maybe Vastu, Vaibhav, whatever Baba says, that am I physically attached to all this? And then I just asked Baba that, Baba, what in the true sense means to break away from everyone else? Because see, Brahmins in the Alokik family, to some extent have moved on from this physical attachments. Maybe we are not too much attached to people after coming into Gyan. But then that one question that popped up in my mind yesterday was, Baba, what in the true sense means to break away from everyone else? And then this Murli, came up yesterday. This Murli has an answer, where Baba says that being attached to your own self too much is also not being attached to the Father then. If you are constantly in the awareness that, oh, my intellect is so powerful, my thoughts are so good, I can do this so well, I am doing this in a perfect way. ये तो फिर अपने आप से बुद्धि योग हो गया ना. either in the negative way or in the positive way. So ये तो truly अपने आप से बुद्धि योग है ना. मतलब this is, you are connected to yourself then. You are not connected to the Father. So this was the answer that Baba gave in this Murli, where Baba says to break away from everyone else and to connect yourself to the One. If you are still attached to your physical sense organs, then is that the first qualification of a Brahmin? Forget about physical sense organs. हमारा मन और बुद्धि, वो भी हमारी कर्मेंद्रिय. They are also organs of the soul. At times we get influenced and we come under the influence of this, the mind and the intellect. Sorry. Baba says, since the first promise, that is the first words of the dying alive birth are these, one Father and none other, since this is the first promise, the first qualification, then have you fulfilled this qualification? The first promise and the first words? Or is it that whilst saying that you belong to the One, you still have connections with many others? Would such Brahmins only in name be called victorious? Within such a huge world, Brahmins have their own little world. And so whilst carrying out every task in such a small world, such Brahmins, whatever souls of the world they look at, only have the feeling of benevolence for each one of them. They do not have any relationship or attachment on the basis of their own feelings, but only with the feeling of godly service. While we come in contact with other souls, so Baba says you need only one feeling there, and that is of godly service and nothing else. Baba says even whilst looking at the five elements and nature, they would not be under their influence, but they would instead be engaged in the task of making even nature Satupradhan. Can those who themselves are the transformers of nature become influenced by nature? Those who cannot bring nature under their control at this time will not be able to experience the happiness of the Satupradhan nature. Now, this is subtle. Those who cannot bring nature under their control at this time will not be able to experience the happiness of the Satupradhan nature. Now, this nature can be considered in two ways. The nature that is the five elements, and in that too, the five elements means this body. This body is the first relation in which the Brahmins, we as souls, come in contact with five elements. This is the first thing. So if we are still under the influence of this body and the physical organs, we will not experience the Satupradhan stage. This is the first nature. And the second nature is the old nature of habits and sanskars. If we are still under the influence, or it takes rather a lot of time for us to battle with these sanskars or nature, then also we will never be able to experience happiness of the Satupradhan stage. Baba says, so you do not come under the influence of nature, do you? That would be like a doctor who goes to save an ill patient, but who becomes infected himself. Such an analogy. Baba says, your task is to transform nature. But if instead of that, you are influenced by nature, would you be called a Brahmin? Now, those words come in my mind where Baba says, he often says that karna to nahi tha, lekin kar liya. Bolna to nahi tha, lekin bol diya. So this should not happen. All of you have become Brahmins, have you not? Would any of you say that you are not a Brahmin? To be a Brahmin means to imbibe such qualifications. So, do you have such qualifications, or are you just a Brahmin in name? Ask yourself this question. Baba says, what is the speciality of the Brahmin birth? A speciality which does not exist in any other birth. The speciality of the Brahmin birth is that, whereas in all other births, souls take birth through souls, it is only in this Brahmin birth that you take birth directly to the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. Your deity birth too is through elevated souls, not through the Supreme Soul. So this is the speciality of the Brahmin birth, which does not exist in any other birth. If now again a point of checking that, if I call myself a Brahmin, a true Brahmin, that means I am the child of the Supreme Father. I belong to his clan. Then whatever are his qualities should be mine then. No? I guess this Murli is all about catching things in between the lines, because Baba has not directly mentioned about what is to be done, but he has definitely mentioned what is not supposed to be done. So we need to take out points, reading in between the lines. Baba says, so this is the speciality of the Brahmin birth, which does not exist in any other birth. This is a birth filled with such speciality. So what should be the speciality of such souls? The virtues of the Father should be the virtues of the Brahmins. He has mentioned it. Okay, good. You cannot have those virtues in any birth other than this Brahmin birth. Just as in this Brahmin life, you become Trikaldarshi, Trinetri, and an embodiment of knowledge. Do you become this in any other birth? So if you do not experience the virtues and the specialities of Brahmin life in this Brahmin life, then when will you experience them? You become a Brahmin, but do not experience the specialities of Brahmin life, then what have you done by becoming a Brahmin? Now see, there is something or the else that we Brahmins are actually carrying along, and it is that such thing which takes away happiness time and again. Mana ek aad cheez, ekhadi baat, ekhada sambandh, maybe ekhadi koi प्राप्ति जो नहीं हुई है शायद स्थूल रूप से maybe we've carried, maybe we've got that thing, and that time and again takes away our happiness. That is why Baba is mentioning that even still after taking this Brahmin birth, even now if you are not experiencing the happiness, the true joy, then when are you going to experience this? So we need to check, really, we need to check on all those parameters personally, that I, the soul, where am I lacking? Or what are those things which I am actually fighting a battle with and which is taking away my happiness? Because if Baba is mentioning it, then it is definite that we at times are not experiencing fully this Brahmin birth or this Brahmin life completely. Baba says, you become a Brahmin but do not experience the specialities of Brahmin life, then what have you done by becoming a Brahmin? You tell other souls, having become a child of the Father, if you do not know the Father, then you are worth a shell. You tell others this, do you not? However, some take a birth as valuable as a diamond and yet are not able to make their life as valuable as a diamond. What would you say to someone who has a diamond in his hand but considers it to be a stone and does not realize its value? Is that one who is greatly sensible? You cannot say anything else. See, Baba is not using the other word. For such people or for such souls, sensible is not the word, but Baba is speaking the other way around. You do not become so greatly sensible in the wrong way, do you? Therefore, realize the value of the Brahman birth. It is not an ordinary aspect. That's it. Let me also become a Brahman. It's not that easy. Baba says that you think and then you become a Brahman. Constantly check yourself as to whether you are truly living a Brahman life. See, in the beginning also I mentioned that Baba will leave a question in the mind while he completes the Murli, and this is that one question. A checking rather, and a question that, are you truly living a Brahman life? Acha. To such elevated souls who have constantly elevated birth, who perform elevated actions, who have an elevated life, and who do elevated service, to such world benefactor souls, to the souls who are completely free from all bondages, love, remembrance, and namaste from Bapdada, from us children, from us elevated souls, Baba's lovely children, to our beloved Bapdada, love, will, remembrance, and namaste. Now this Murli is very deep and very subtle. We will take a few moments of silence and then we shall share the points with the Murli. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. We can unmute and share the points from the Murli.
Om Shanti. Yes, sister, go ahead.
Om Shanti.
Om
Today's
Shanti.
Murli, I wrote down special qualities of spiritual warriors. The first one, we must have the awareness that we are warriors on the battlefield. Warriors are never lazy or careless. They are never without their weapons. They always carry those with them. They are never afraid of anything. They are always fearless. Warriors never keep anything except the battle in their intellect. They always have the attitude of battling and the consciousness of gaining victory. So these are the elevated versions I've taken away from today's lecture.
Yes, yes. Very nice.
Adding on to what sister said, Baba's used such a beautiful analogy here. Like in the Lokik world, when a soldier goes to the battlefield, what is focused, what focus he has is he leaves his family behind, and he only has a focus of being a warrior on the battlefield with all his weapons, and he's detached from everything else from the world. One is the battle, other is becoming big, winning the battle. These are the only two focus with which the a Lokik soldier works on. The same analogy Baba is bringing in today of who is a spiritual warrior is someone who is agile, who is absolutely connected to only to the Supreme Father, and is performing his role as being a detached observer and as an instrument in this world. So he's bringing our focus very clear on this. And then he brings across so many subtle points today to look at. One of the points which touched me the most was, while we are connecting to anyone in the Brahmin family, are we looking at their specialities or are we looking at their weaknesses? So a true Brahmin is one who will allow or give the lift of his love and compassion to the other soul to move forward in his journey rather than looking at his weaknesses and pointing out on the same. That's my takeaway. Om Shanti.
Very nice.
Om Shanti, sister.
Om Shanti.
The word spiritual warrior just takes me to Arjuna. We all think there in that thing, Lord Krishna is teaching him how to battle. No, he was a famous warrior in the sense of a warrior. But he had this internal web of what we call it as attachment within him to face the army, which was his own blood. So that battle which he gives him the 18 chapters to say, how does he come out and face as a warrior? That's why Baba often refers, even in Murli, are you Arjuna? So whenever this word spiritual warrior comes, it always gives me that first thing of Arjuna. The second thing about a spiritual warrior is, the spiritual warrior, there is no battlefield. There is no Kurukshetra. And you were talking about his weapons. When you use the word weapons, when we were young, we used to play those games of, magic sword or demon slayer, how to kill the demons. And we used to get all those kind of weapons to slay these demons. So I was thinking, what is the weapon? His weapons is not made of stone. A spiritual warrior's weapon is not made of wood. It's not made of metal, or it's not also made of gunpowder. But it is that kind of an inner power with which he flexes his mind. So for this, he needs power. He needs an inner beauty. He needs qualities. I think these are the subtle kind of weapons which we use. Like they show the Shaktis with 8 arms, 8 weapons. And we have gone through that. Each weapon has got a significant power. So this is the weapon of a spiritual warrior. There are so many weapons. If suppose one could, like, there are many weapons of love, peace, power. There are many weapons over there if we could really analyze. Why they are needed? They are needed for me to block whatever weaknesses of the soul, that is the leakages of the soul, to transform and all. I think this is a deep churning we can go through if we can find out each quality. But for me, for a soul, it is the soul power. It is just that I have to use my weapon to cut these beams of attachment to see where is the leakage going on, where is the drainage going on. That is a kind of a battlefield which is not visible, but it is something very beautiful and which I can only get by breaking away and connecting. Om Shanti.
Wonderful. What else Baba has mentioned? Would anybody like to add on? His sister was mentioning about true weapons. While I was reflecting on this Murli, I could get 4 for myself. I'll mention that. See, there's the sword of knowledge, Gyan ki talwar, and the shield of drama, drama ki dhal, and the third one Baba mentioned in this Murli also, Swadarshan Chakra, and the fourth, the armor of yoga, the yoga kavach. So if we have this kavach on and if we enter the battlefield, then I guess there are chances of less chances of getting injured. Mhm. Yes. Anybody else would like to add on? And definitely we can find out more.
You can add the vision of wearing a specs of Trikaldarshi.
Ah, very nice. Very nice. Wonderful. As you also said that the Shaktis, the virtues, they are also weapons. Definitely. Very beautiful. Mm.
Om Shanti. I
Om
think
Shanti.
today's Murli has given us a sort of an evaluation tool to understand, am I a true Brahmin or I am just a namesake Brahmin? Because there is a huge difference Baba has brought out between the two aspects. Am I experiencing being a Brahmin, an elevated birth, and what are the specialties or the qualifications of Brahmin soul? So those, especially the attitude, vision, and the consciousness will be elevated always. And and I really like this point. This Baba often said today in today's Murli is that being free from all bondages, experiencing that freeness itself is so great. I mean, elevated, and the tools also Baba has brought out. What are the tools and techniques? Is consider yourself to be on a battlefield and always having these two things in awareness that I am a warrior, I am a victorious, and I am a victorious soul. So I think these two aspects also is related to our awareness that who am I and who is mine. And I think this is a great intoxication Baba has given us today with this Murli. Om Shanti.
Yes, yes. Wonderful. Beautiful. Would anybody like to add on to anything? You can go ahead because the Murli is very subtle, very deep. Yes, Mister. Go ahead.
You said shield of drama. I was just thinking, in the battlefield, I can wear Baba's shield on me so that nothing, no sword can penetrate. So that's what even Baba mentions, shield of God. If I flaunt my chest with the shield of God, no sword can touch my chest. I think Baba's protection over me.
Ah, wonderful, wonderful. We can add on to more points. We can maybe take this as a homework. You know, what are the true weapons of the soul?
Adding on to what sister just said, what I was remembering, what I'm getting is even all relationships when we connect with Baba, that is a complete shield, a canopy under which we perform.
Yes, yes, truly beautiful.
Also, if you look at today's Murli, Baba has given the intoxication in the beginning itself as to who is a charioteer and what is his role as a charioteer. So if you certainly look at it, it is not, he's talking about not just getting connected to any other souls. He's also asking us to look at, are we connected to our own chariot? As a charioteer, what am I doing? Am I empowering this chariot, or am becoming the cause of upheaval with my own chariot? Very subtly, he is given the clear responsibility of a charioteer.
Yes, yes, wonderful.
Sister, just one more thing. Where do I get these weapons? For that, Baba goes to the latter part of the Murli. You were born Brahma Mukha Vanshavali. When divine birth you got, all this was part and tool of along with my hands and legs, I got this. So you don't know the weapon is with you. So I think that realization.
Yes, yes. Okay. Would anybody like to add on to anything? You can go ahead. Om Shanti.
Today Baba said that if you are a master almighty authority, then you should not get distressed by any of the old sanskars that you have. or you do not be afraid of any of the small obstacles that come on your way, any person or any situation that may lead you away from your Brahman life. So you have to just keep on remembering that you are a very powerful Mahavir and a master almighty authority. Om Shanti.
Yes, yes.
Om
Okay.
Shanti. This aspect also was very unique, that the Brahmin souls will not have any relationship or attachment on the basis of their own feeling, but only with the feelings of godly service. I think that's something which is a checking point also, that sometimes we get entangled with our own feelings and we consider that as to be the something which, but actually deep inside it's bonding us, and it becomes our bondage. So we need to check the godly service, the feelings of godly service is the only feelings we must have, and that basically making us free from limited to the unlimited vision, attitude, and consciousness.
Yes, yes. Wonderful.
Om Shanti. Today, Baba
Yes.
also said that if you are not experiencing the real happiness of Brahmin life now, then you won't be able to experience the happiness of the deity life in the future. So experience, it is the time that to feel the real happiness or the cheerfulness of this Brahmin life. Om Shanti.
Baba very beautifully mentioned that, maybe there are certain voids, maybe there are certain leakages, voids, as sister also mentioned, was talking about, that you need to fill in, to experience this happiness. Because even when Baba is here, even now, if we are experiencing, you know, distress or whatever words Baba has used, then Baba said that, are you really experiencing this Brahmin life? You need to check on that. Yes, Rachna sister, you wanted to share something? Please go ahead.
Om Shanti sister. I wanted to know what is when Baba talks about Maharati Atmas and Mahavir Atmas. Are they the same or is there a difference in the two?
Would anybody like to answer this? Wonderful.
From the perception that I get is Maharathi is somebody who is standing in his own body and managing it as a powerful charioteer, someone who's taking care of his own self, managing his self with complete agility of how he as a Brahmin needs to perform. And Mahavir is somebody who would take all Maya or any problems that comes in as a stepping stone for he or she to progress and be a winner. Others can add on this.
Maharati is the highest part of a spiritual warrior who knows how to fight. So if you are a Maharati, then you can go on a destination to become a Mahavi. Maharati is just a process, I think, a part of a, a rank of the spiritual warrior to attain Maharati.
Om Shanti. Yes, I think wonderful reflections. Mahavir is more of a stage, the soul, that despite come what may, or despite all the odds, I am always maintaining the attitude of being a victorious soul, high elevated attitude and vision. Maharathi is the basically that the I am the master of the matter, master of five elements. I am the transformer of five elements and matter. I'm a world transformer, world benefactor soul. So I know how to control my manage my matter, my body, my and also the subtle uh, sense organs, subtle faculties like mind, intellect, and sanskars. I am the master. That is Maharathi. I know what is my role. It's not being. I'm not here to become subjects. I'm here to become a Vishwa Maharajan or Vishwa Maharani. That rank or whatever, that Maharathi is that, and the Mahavir is the stage. He always maintains a Mahavir stage. I don't know what is failure. I always focus on victory. That Om Shanti.
Wonderful. Rachna sister, you would like to add on? Go ahead.
No, I was trying to understand. So, from what I've understood, so that Mahavir is a trait of the category of Maharathi souls. Like Baba divides us into three categories now: Maharathi souls, and the horse riders, and the
Pyade.
foot soldiers.
I don't know the English word.
So,
Right.
Mahavir is a trait that belongs to the category of Maharathi souls. Right? Is that the way that we can understand? It's a stage, and that is, like Baba explained in the previous Murli, Mastak Mani, Gale ki Mani, and Hriday Mani. So there are three categories. So having
Yes, Maharathi is a Mastak Mani, because he always Maharathi is having a higher role. He can do much more influence on others. He has got more power. He's got more reach, more and elevated vision. He considers himself to be playing a elevated role in the world transformation. It's all about vision. It's all about attitude. Vision, most important is the vision, and consciousness also is according to that.
Yes. Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you all for sharing. And there was one announcement, I guess. There will be a deeper churning of Murli, of the same Murli by Raki sister. Saurabh brother will do that, if I'm not wrong. Yes.
Saurabh
On
bhai will do
Sunday.
it.
Yes. Saurabh bhai will take the session on Sunday on the same Murli, okay, where we can explore, analyze, dig into some deeper aspects of the same Murli. Okay. So we'll take a minute in silence, reflect on today's points, take out homework points as well, and then we'll conclude the session. Thank you so much. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Baba. Thank you, Deepika Ben. Thank you, Divine Family. And let's reflect on each subtle inquiry questions that Baba has given to take for our own self the qualities and qualifications of a Maharathi spiritual warrior. Om Shanti. We meet tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.